Hi everyone. So we're going to go over our study guide together. This is for the Chapter 4 test. So I'm going to get my pen all ready here. I'm going to use blue. So the first slide that you have on ClassKick says, write the percent as a fraction or a mixed number in simplest form. So we're going to work with 12% first. So it's either going to be a fraction or it's going to be a mixed number. And we want it to be in simplest form. So we're going to take 12%, and we always, when we're dealing with fractions, we want our denominator always to be 100. Okay, so now we know that it's not in simplest form, so we're going to divide by 4. Show that division sign there. And then we are going to get 3, because 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 100 divided by 4 is 25. So that is our answer. For 0.8%, this is one that always stumps you guys. Remember, decimal can be a percent, and whatever you see, just like 12%, you put 12 as your numerator. You do the same thing for 0.8%. You see it as 0.8, so you're going to make 0.8 your numerator. We now need your numerator to be a whole number, so we're going to multiply by 10 because all you have to do is move it over one place to the right. So that makes it 8 over, and then 100 will now change to 1,000 because whatever you do to the numerator, you do to the denominator. So you have to multiply by 10 or move the decimal over one place to the right. We still need to simplify. So 8 over 1,000, we are going to divide by 8. And then 8 divided by 8 is 1, and 100 divided by 8 is 125. I'm going to change my color because it's a little close to over here. So now we have 127%. So 127%, again, you just put it over the numerator just like we always do. It doesn't matter if it's above 100, like it's greater than 100. And now we need to make it a fraction or mixed number. So obviously it's an improper fraction, so we do need to make it a mixed number. So 100 goes into 127 one time with 27 left over out of 100. And this is actually already simplified, so that is our answer. All right, so for slide 2, or actually I think it's still on your same first slide, I just have it on the second slide for myself. Write the fraction or mixed number as a percent. So this time they're having you have fractions. So you're going to take 3/5 and you want the denominator to be 100 because whatever is your numerator will be your percent. So let's get 100 as our denominator. So what you're going to need to do is times by 20, and then 3 times 20 gives you 60. So 3 times 20 is 60. 60 is your numerator, so 60% is your answer. So now we have 1 and 21/50. So 1 and 21/50. We're going to right away change this to an improper fraction. So 50 times 1 is 50, and then add it to 21 is 71 over 50. So now what's great about 50 is we can change that denominator very easily by multiplying by 2 to get 100. And then 71 times 2 is 142. So because my denominator is 100, 142 is my percent. So now we have 7 over 400. So this time, in all the other times we've been multiplying to get to 100, this time we need to divide. And we're going to divide by 4 to get 100. And 7 divided by 4 is actually a decimal. So it's 1 and 75 hundredths. Because 100 is your denominator, whatever is your numerator is your percent, which it is a decimal. And it's okay that it is a decimal. So now we have on your next slide, we have write the percent as a decimal, and we have 6%. So we could do one or the other of our choices. We can either take 6% and you remove the percent sign put the decimal where it needs to be and move it 2 places to the left. So your answer would be 600. Or you take 6 and you divide it by 100, which you would be moving your decimal 2 places still to the left. So this is one that I know a lot of people get confused because you see the decimal already. You can have a decimal in as a percent. So you're going to do exactly what you just did. You're going to remove the percent sign, take the decimal, and you're still moving 2 places to the right. I'm sorry, to the left. So here you're now adding more zeros. So your answer is actually going to be a decimal 0.00016. So you had to actually add 2 more zeros to your problem. Do not change it to go to the right just because you see a decimal in there. It is still a percent. Okay. 334%. Again, your decimal is invisible. It is right here in the beginning, and then you're going to move it 2 places to the left. So your answer is 3 34/100. Now we have a decimal and we're going to make it a percent. So now it's the opposite. You either multiply by 100 or you move the decimal to the right 2 places. If you remember my trick, I'll put it here, or Mrs. Flynn's trick. If you are in my block 5 and 7, you are going to go to the right when you go decimal to percent, and you're going to go to the left when you go percent to decimal. All right, so for 1 600ths, we are moving to the right 2 places. So my answer is 106%. Then we have 97 thousandths. You're going to move the decimal to the, so I apologize. For 97 thousandths, you're going to rewrite it. And you're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. And your answer is 9 7/10%. Then for 77 hundredths, you are going to move the decimal again 2 places to the right, and it's going to be 77%. Here for the next slide, it says tell which number is greater. So we've been noticing that a lot of times we like to go and change everything to percents, and that's the way that I usually go too. If you changed everything to fractions or everything to decimals, please know that it's still okay. I'm going to be changing everything to percents. Just make sure that you get the same answer as I do. All right, so for 12/5, we are going to change that to a percent. So we need our denominator to be 100. So we're going to multiply by 20, and 12 times 20 is 240. So that means this is 240%. 12/5 is 240%, which is greater 245%. So I'm going to write 245%. For the next slide, for the next question, 4600ths, you move 2 places to the right. So it's 46%. So which is greater? 46% is actually greater, but we always go back to the original answer. So the original problem. So it's 4600ths. For this next slide, we're ordering from least to greatest. Now we have a bunch of different data. So we have 9/4, we have fractions, we have decimals, we have percents. So we're going to take 9/4 and we are going to make it a denominator of 100. So it means that we're going to multiply by 25. And then 9 times 25 is 225. So that means 9/4 is 225%. Then 220% is already percent. 2 and 1500ths, we need to move the decimal 2 places to the right. So this is 215%. And then 218% is 218%. So now we have to take these and make sure we take the least first. So our least looks like it's 215%, but we have to make sure we write it as the original. So 2 and 1500ths is less than 218%, which is less than 220%, and then which is less than 225%, which is a fraction 9/4. And make sure you're using the less than sign as best you can. Here is the next question on that same slide, least to greatest. So again, we're going to change everything to percent. So I'm going to move it over 2 places to the right. So this is 88%. 7/8. This one is a little tricky because it doesn't go directly to a denominator of 100. So I'm actually going to divide. So I'm going to do 7 divided by 8, and I get 875 thousandths. Then if I multiply it by 100, it moves the decimal 2 places to the right, and I get 87 5/10%. So 7/8 is 87 5/10%. 92%, still 92%. 9/10, you probably should know this one. You should not need to have to multiply by 10, but if you did, you would get 100 and you would get 90, 90 over 100, which is 90%. And then you have 89/100ths, move it over 2 places to the right, so you have 89%. Now we can list them in order from least to greatest. So it looks like 87 5/10% is our least. So that's a fraction of 7/8, which is less than which one? Let's see, 88%, which is 88/100ths. Make sure you can see that dot, which is less than 89%, which is 89/100ths, which is your decimal, which is less than 90%, which is 9/10. And then the last one is 92%, which is 92%. Okay. All right, so now we are finding the percent of a number. And we have 2 methods that we're learning. So the first method that we're doing is percent times whole equals part. So here's my percent, and remember what they always want you to do. So we're going to write 60%, and of means to multiply, and then we're going to times it by 80. Then they say to change your percent to a decimal or fraction. So I'm actually going to change mine to a decimal. And then, yes, you can use a calculator to get your answer, and you should get 48. So now for 150% of 80, so 150% times 48. So then you would move the decimal 2 places to the left. So it would be 1 5/10 or 1 50/100 times 48. Yes, you can use a calculator because that's not the skill we're working on right now. We're working on just making sure you know how to find the percent of a number. So you should get 72. Okay, we're still finding the percent of a number, but this time the method is with a ratio table. So we have part over whole. Make sure you always write your labeling. You should remember that from your ratios and rates chapter 3. Okay, so we're going to take our 80% and we're going to make it a fraction. So we're going to say 80 over 100 because remember, 100 is always your whole in percent. So now we're going to work with of 55. So if you remember, is our part and of is our whole. So of is our whole, so that means we're going to come over here to our whole and write 55. So now we're going to need to bring it down to 5. So we're going to divide by 20. And then we'll be able to bring it up to 55 by multiplying by 11. So we're going to divide by 20, which is going to give us 4. And then we're going to multiply by 11, which gives us 44. And 44 is your answer. So for 42% of 150, the same thing. I'm going to do a different color because it's kind of close. So I'm going to do part over whole. I'm going to split it up. So now we have 42%, make that a fraction, which is your denominator over 100. Of 150, again, is your whole. So you're going to come down to the whole. Here's whole, and then you just have to bring it down to 150. We're not bringing it here because you can't go directly from 100 to 150. That's the whole point of that. We're finding our middleman. So we need to bring it down to 50. So we're going to divide by 2, and then we're going to multiply by 3. So 42 divided by 2 is going to be 21. And then 21 times 3 is 63. So your answer is 63. All right, so now we just found the percent of a number. Find the percent of the number. We are now going to find the whole. So we were finding the part before, now we're finding the whole. So this time we're going to do part divided by percent. So we need to know, remember that is our part. All right, so remember is equals part. All right, and if you realize and you look at of, it says of what number, so that's missing. So our whole is missing. All right, so let's do this. So part is 35. Oh, part is 35. And then we're dividing by our percent, which is 70%. So we're doing 35 divided by, and you need to change your percent to a fraction or decimal. So I'm changing it to a decimal. And when you use your calculator, you should get 50. So now here's your next one. You have 140% of what number is 56. Again, they give us our part. So part is 56 divided by percent, which is 140%. Okay, and that will give us our whole. So 56 divided by, change 140%. So erase that. I don't want you to think it's a decimal, to either a fraction or a decimal. So it would be 1 4/10 or 1 40/100, and that will give us our whole. So when you do that division, you should get 40. So now we're doing the same thing. We're still finding our whole, but this time we're doing it with ratio tables. So again, you're going to have part over whole, and I'm going to just extend that line and one more column. Okay, so here's our percent. Change that to a fraction, so 28 over 100. Remember, 21 is our is, which is our part. So 21 is at the top this time, not at the bottom. Before we had the whole. So now we need to figure out 28 can go into what number, which will bring it back to 21. These look like multiples of 7. So I'm going to do 28 divided by 4 and then 7 times 3. So we're going to do 100 divided by 4, which is 25, and then 25 times 3, which is 75, and 75 is your answer. So we're going to do this one more time. So we have part over whole. We're going to have our 3 sections. Here's our 20%, so it's going to make it a fraction, so 20 over 100. 96 is our is, which is our part, so we're going to put 96 over at the end on the top. Looks like 2 is our common multiple, so or common factors, so 2 can go into 20 and 2 can also go into 96. So we're going to divide by 10, and then we're going to multiply by 48. So we're going to do 100 divided by 10, which is 10, and then 10 times 48, which is 480, and that's your answer. All right, so this is our last slide. And, oh, actually, I think we're done. I think that was it. because all right, so the last three slides, slides 8, 9, 10, I will give you the answer key for those after you take your test. So just so that I will definitely give them to you. They were challenge questions. They're not questions that are going to be on your test. There might be some questions similar, but with easier numbers. But that's about it. So when the test is done, I will give you um, your new, what was I going to say to you? The new slides. I'll give you a video with the answer keys for that. Okay, bye guys. Have a great rest of the day.